story titled The Day She Stopped Waiting. It seriously plays out exactly like a film, showing us how a single, seemingly forgotten moment can literally rewrite the future.
Okay, let's dive into this. Meet Emma Carter. She's 34, living just outside Chicago. And honestly, she learned a long time ago to just not expect miracles. She's a single mom to an adorable 6-year-old girl named Lily. And, Emma's life wasn't filled with some dramatic, movie-level tragedy. It was just heavy. She was buried under this suffocating silence of unpaid bills and a bone-deep exhaustion that made her whisper to an empty room, "I just need a break."
To really get a grasp on that exhaustion, we got to look at the relentless march of her daily routine. Every single day at 5:30 a.m., way before the sun even thinks about coming up, she's awake. She's making coffee, packing lunches, ironing uniforms. By 7 a.m., she is absolutely exhausted. Emma's working 2 different jobs just to keep her family afloat, waitressing at a diner all day and then scrubbing floors in an office building at night. She barely sleeps, guys. She barely breathes. But the second Lily wakes up, Emma smiles. She hides every single ounce of that fatigue, absolutely promising herself that her daughter will never, ever feel the weight of these struggles. When Lily asks if she's tired, Emma just says, "Not when I see you."
But, that brave face always comes off at night. Electricity, rent, school fees. I think we can all picture this scene, right? The quiet kitchen, the harsh overhead light, and the literal, physical weight of these papers just spread out everywhere in front of her. No matter how many double shifts she pulled at the diner, no matter how many offices she cleaned, the math it never worked out. It never felt like enough to get ahead.
So, days turn into weeks with absolutely nothing changing. And then, one freezing cold winter afternoon, Emma gets home from a brutally long shift to find something super unusual waiting right there on her doorstep. A small, brown box. It's basically your classic cinematic inciting incident, right?
Get this, there's no label, no return address whatsoever. It's just her name written out in this neat, careful handwriting. A neighbor even happens to walk by and asks, "Hey, did you order something?" And Emma can only kind of shake her head no. I really want you to lean into the mystery of this moment with me. Imagine that slight unease mixed with just, totally human curiosity as Emma picks up this random, unmarked package off the freezing porch and brings it inside. Now, she's got 6-year-old Lily standing there watching with wide, super excited eyes, literally begging her mom to open it. Emma hesitates for a second. Then, slowly, she breaks the seal. And what's inside is definitely not what you'd expect from a mystery package. It's incredibly simple. It's just an old, worn-out little journal and a carefully folded letter. Emma naturally reaches for the letter first, her hands actually trembling just a little bit as she starts to unfold the paper. Section 1. A stranger's letter. 7 years ago. Let's get right into what it said.
The person who wrote this letter immediately establishes this intensely intimate connection, completely transporting Emma back to a rainy night exactly 7 years prior, sitting in a sterile hospital waiting room. The writer explains that she was a stranger sitting in that exact room who had literally just lost everything: her husband, her home, her entire will to live. And Emma, who didn't even know this poor woman's name, just walked over and sat down right beside her. Emma stayed with her for hours, just holding her hand while she was completely breaking down, and told her these exact words: "You're still here, and that means your story isn't over."
The emotional shift in this letter is just profound. "That night, you saved me." The writer goes on to explain that she never forgot Emma, not once, and she never stopped looking for her. Over those 7 long years, while Emma was desperately struggling to pay for her electricity and rent, this stranger eventually rebuilt her entire life from the ground up. But through all of that time, she carried Emma's kindness with her as this sort of guiding light. Obviously, Emma is reading this in total disbelief. Because to her, that rainy night in the hospital was just a fleeting moment, It was just something anyone would do. The letter then tells Emma to look at the journal that came with it. So she flips through it. She's reading page after page, detailing the stranger's agonizing pain, her incredibly slow recovery, and her ultimate strength. And finally, she gets to the very end, the last page. And attached right there on the last page is an envelope. Emma opens the envelope super carefully, and she pulls out a check for $50,000. Wow, Emma just completely freezes. Her breath catches in her throat. Her hands actually start to shake violently. When Lily looks up and softly asks, "Mom, what is it?" Emma can't even find the words to speak. For the first time in years, that brave, smiling facade she always put on completely cracks. She doesn't smile.
She just cries. She's completely overwhelmed by this sudden, unexpected miracle.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core mechanics of what we're looking at today. On one hand, a past action, a totally free, simple act of sitting down beside a stranger in pain. And on the other hand, the present result, a life-changing $50,000 return on investment. It's just a wildly powerful visualization of how a tiny, entirely forgotten act of deep compassion can travel through time and compound into something massive. It's like a ripple effect that turns into a tidal wave. As you can imagine, the weeks that followed felt like a literal dream sequence. The immediate practical impacts were obviously huge. Emma paid off every single one of those debts that had been haunting her kitchen table. She was finally able to cut back on those brutal work hours. She finally, truly rested. But the narrative makes this absolutely crucial point here. The real transformation for Emma wasn't actually just the money. It was a profound internal realization. And that brings us to this incredibly touching bedtime conversation. Lily looks up at her mom and asks, "Mom, are we okay now?" Emma thinks about it for a second, smiles this really soft smile, and replies, "We always were." When Lily points out that Emma used to be sad all the time, Emma admits it, but then she whispers her new truth. She realized that even the smallest kindness can come back as something huge. Her compassion had literally traveled through time to find them exactly when they needed it the absolute most.
Section 2. Years later, a daughter's lesson. Let's fast forward a bit.
So we jump the timeline forward to Lily's college graduation. The crowd is going wild, applauding. Emma is sitting right there in the audience, and once again, she's got tears in her eyes. But this time they are tears of immense pride. Lily, who is now this brilliant young adult, steps right up to the microphone. This is really the emotional climax of our explainer. On stage, looking right at her mom, Lily tells the crowd, "My mom taught me something I'll never forget. You don't have to be rich to change someone's life. Sometimes, all it takes is staying." As the auditorium goes completely silent, Emma just closes her eyes and smiles. Because in that exact moment, the ultimate realization washes over her. For years, she had been waiting for a miracle to show up on her doorstep, completely unaware that she had actually been the miracle for someone else all along. Which leaves us with this final thought to close out our analysis today. Kindness doesn't always come back quickly. The timeline of compassion is, honestly, rarely immediate. But when it finally makes its way back to you, it changes absolutely everything. We've seen exactly how that ripple effect works today, both structurally and emotionally. So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. What will your ripple effect be? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable timeline with me.